Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be brief. We're just going to discuss a concept that appears quite a bit in AP Seminar and talk about the related skills that connect to this concept. We're going to see the phrasing line of reasoning quite a bit as we go through the AP Seminar content, and it is also a concept that appears in AP research. It's also quite common in the AP Lang curriculum as well. Talking about a line of reasoning is connected to the idea of an argument, constructing an argument, building an argument, or evaluating arguments that have been created by others. So in this video, we're going to talk about what is a line of reasoning, and then what are the skills related to demonstrating your understanding of a line of reasoning. Quite simply, a line of reasoning is that a good argument is composed of multiple claims supported by evidence and reasoning. A single claim with some evidence and reasoning can be argumentative, but it does not create a line of reasoning. What we're looking at is not necessarily lengthy, but at least multiple claims that are linked together to compose a complex argument. So it's composed of multiple claims supported by evidence and reasoning. When these claims are linked together, they establish the author's line of reasoning. Well-written arguments establish a logical progression of choices to build a strong argument. There will be times in AP Seminar where you are being asked to evaluate the line of reasoning of other authors. Then there will be times at which you are the author and you are constructing your own line of reasoning. How do we identify a line of reasoning, right? How do we first just look at the work of other authors and identify a line of reasoning? We start by searching for the main idea or thesis of the source. What is the very big idea that they're trying to communicate? And then we want to identify the claims made in support of that main idea or thesis and identify how the evidence and reasoning which support each claim come together to create a compelling or convincing argument. At the identify level, we're just trying to find or identify. We're trying to find what we believe the main idea or thesis is, and then we need to search for the individual claims within the spoken or written material that we are evaluating. Then we want to go and identify or look for the evidence and the reasoning. So at this level, we're just trying to find it. We want to demonstrate that we have the ability to pull those out of the source when we are asked to identify them. When we move from the identify level of skill, we're going to look at evaluating a line of reasoning. And how do we evaluate a line of reasoning? We review the claims or evidence and reasoning to determine the logic of the argument. Do the claims and the evidence, is there a clear connection that makes a lot of sense? Is the reasoning sound? Does it demonstrate a clear and strong understanding of the evidence to support the claim? Then we want to review the claims and evidence and reasoning to determine the credibility of the sources. Is the author using sources of information that maybe are very low on the tiers of credibility? Maybe they're referencing something they saw on social media, but it was just by a common user and not by an expert in the field. Are they using things that are a little more credible, like sources of journalism, whether it's a news video or a TED Talk by a credible expert, or perhaps some kind of printed journalism? Or do they talk about the credibility of the sources in is it easy to identify that those sources are academic or expert in nature? And then we will ask ourselves if the evidence and reasoning provided support the claim to make a convincing argument. You don't need to personally agree with every single argument. It's not, did the author successfully convince you to change some deeply held belief you have about a subject? What we're looking for in this part is, if you looked at that argument, could you see where a reasonable person would agree with the argument? Can you see how the evidence and the reasoning to support the claims led to a conclusion that is logical? And you could say that a hypothetical person could agree with the argument. Remember, we need to remove our own personal beliefs about any particular topic as we come into this to evaluate a line of reasoning. Someone can make a very compelling argument with strong evidence and claims, and it can lead to a conclusion that you personally disagree with, but you can't deny that the argument was strong in its construction. We're moved from evaluate into building our own line of reasoning. Once we've learned how to identify the arguments of others and to evaluate the arguments of others, now it's time to build our own line of reasoning. So how do we do that? You begin, whether you're doing this for a class assignment to create an argument, or as you're starting to draft your individual research report or your individual written argument, or in AP research as you start to move towards your literature review, you're going to draft like your thesis statement. What is it that you are trying to communicate about? Then you're going to create an outline of the claims you would use to support that thesis, and then start thinking about the evidence that supports each claim. Now, at the early level of construction, maybe you're just thinking about the types of evidence you are looking for. You might not have the most specific ones already located, but once you identify, oh, I want to find statistics about the changes in grade point average at a school that has a strong homework policy as it eliminates homework over a period of 5 years. I want to look for that. I don't know where it is yet, but that's the type of evidence I'm looking for. In my outline, I just want to start with what do I want to find, and then I can go and look for it. After I've selected my evidence, then I'm going to explain how the evidence supports the claim, right? So I want to provide that reasoning and say that this evidence, if I found the evidence I was looking for and it indicated that eliminating a homework policy had a positive impact on GPAs, I can say that eliminating homework is actually a positive for students and their schools when it comes to academic success. So I need to figure out what claim I want to make. I think reducing homework will lead to higher grades for students. I want to think about the evidence. I want to go find the statistics of GPA over the periods of years as the policy has changed, and then I want to explain how that policy supports the claim. Now, why is this important? Why do AP Seminar students need to know this? Well, we're going to identifying a line of reasoning as an essential skill for both AP Seminar and AP Research. Evaluating a line of reasoning is an essential skill for AP Seminar and AP Research. And building your own line of reasoning is an essential skill for AP Seminar and AP Research. I have to do this several times in the assessments. So where does this happen? Well, where do we see these skills evaluated in the AP Seminar assessments? Identifying a line of reasoning is in the rubrics for End of Course Exam Part A, End of Course Exam Part B, the individual research report, and the individual written argument. Evaluating or judging a line of reasoning is in End of Course Exam Part A. It's question number 2. It's in End of Course Exam Part B because I have to understand those arguments and make evaluative judgments about them in the construction of my own argument. And that same skill is in the individual research report and the individual written argument. And then building your own line of reasoning is in End of Course Exam Part B, where you have to construct your own line of reasoning and demonstrate the skills necessary for that. And then you do the same thing in the individual research report, the team multimedia presentation, the individual written argument, and the individual multimedia presentation. All of those require you or your team to construct a strong, logical line of reasoning to reach a compelling argument. I hope this video has been helpful in trying to communicate what a line of reasoning is as it relates to AP Seminar and also to AP Research. Hopefully this will help you as you move forward in building these skills.